Hey guys, do you remember shows like Rocko's Modern Life or Camp Lazlo? Do you happen to have any kids that watch a show called Let's Go Luna? Want to know what all three of those shows have in common? They were all created by Joe Murray. One of the greatest things he ever done, besides making great cartoons, was write a book about his craft. Specifically, how to create animated cartoons with character. A physical copy of the book became such a sought-after item that people started charging more and more for the book. To combat this, Joe Murray made the PDF of the book for free on his website. All he asks in return is that you pay it forward somehow. However, before the book became free, I managed to get a copy of the book at the cheapest price that was available at the time. But before I get into the review, let me tell you a quick story of how I first read the book. It was back in 2019. I just received my copy of the Animator Survival Kit, and I went to the local library with my dad. I searched through the library for an art book section, but to my surprise, there was a whole shelf full of animation books. I asked the people at the desk if I could request any books to be sent to the library so I could borrow them, and thankfully I could. So while searching for books that were highly recommended, I discovered Creating Animated Cartoons with Character by Joe Murray. So I went back to the library the next week and requested the book. So after a while of waiting, and reading a borrowed copy of The Illusion of Life, the book came to the library, and I was able to read it for a week or two. Just like how Rocko's Modern Life was Nickelodeon's fourth cartoon, or Nicktoon if you prefer. This was the fourth animation book that I read when I was actively searching for animation books. Luckily, I read through the whole thing before I had to return it, but it got sent back to the library that my local library borrowed it from, so I wasn't able to easily read it again. And at the time, buying my own copy wasn't possible. Also because I didn't have the money to pay for the asking prices on Amazon. And you know what the original price of the book was? $24.99. However, that all changed in 2022 while I was on vacation with my family. It finally came back available on Amazon, and at the cheapest price it's been at since it's been out of stock, $59.99. While still being more than twice the price of the original price. It was the best deal I could get at the time, especially since a physical copy of the book is now worth $120 on Amazon. Albeit it was a used copy, but it was said to be in good condition. My mom bought it for me, and I finally had the book in my possession again. And the copy I received was more than in good condition. It was like new. Keep in mind though, this book is 14 years old, so there's no reference to Let's Go Luna. But still, a whole bunch of the contents of the book still hold true to this day. Before I talk about the most important parts of the book, I'd like to point out a few things. On the right edge of the book, you'll see a miniature Rocko. See it? But if you flip through the book, it's like a flip book. The only other book that I know that has this flip book instead of a textbook concept is The Illusion of Life. The book can also be used as a reference guide in terms of show making, just like how the Animator Survival Kit is a reference guide for numerous animators. The first chapter goes over Joe Murray's animator origin story, as well as the history of TV animation. Chapter 2 goes over what motivations for creating a series are good, and which ones indicate that creating a series isn't for you. The following chapters go over how you'd go about making your own animated series. Chapter 3 goes over what the hook of the animated series is, which is basically what attracts people to your animated series. What makes it stand out amongst other series. What makes people wanting to come back for more. Chapter 4 goes over how to make good characters for your series. Specifically, what kind of character tiers there are. And it goes over the consistency of your character's design, and more importantly, their personality. Chapter 5 goes over how you should go about pitching your series to a network if you're wanting your series to go onto a network. Chapter 6 goes over the kind of offers the network would try to make to you for your series. But it also goes over what development materials you need before starting your pilot episode, including the mini Bible, pilot premises, a script or outline of your pilot, and the pilot storyboard. It also gives you guidelines on 3-act structure and storyboards. Chapter 7 goes over the pilot process, which is the series of steps you'll go through while making your pilot. Chapter 8 discusses creating episodes for your animated series, including an example of a production schedule, and the steps taken to produce each episode, from pre-production to post-production. Chapter 9 focuses on how to keep your relationship with the network doing your show decent. That is if you decide to go the traditional network route. I say this because Chapter 10 goes over ways you can get your show viewed by the public without a network. Some of the ways include making comics or toys out of your characters, but also goes over using the internet to get your cartoons watched, and probably becoming famous that way. 14 years after the book referenced that possibility, and now we have shows like Has Been Hotel, started on YouTube as a pilot, and now has become a series on Amazon Prime. Chapter 11 shares tips on how to keep yourself in check while working on your show. It even shares a story about how Ted Geisel, aka Dr. Seuss, chose to live a simple life, living on a strict budget. Even with all the money he made from his books, he gave his money away because he was satisfied with living a simple life. At the end of most of the chapters, there are interviews with people in the industry, such as the late Steve Hillenburg, Everett Peck, Tom Warburton, Craig McCracken, Jeff Hutchins, Tom Kenny, Sue Mund, and Dan Hawes. I'll admit, one gripe I do have about this book is how much it endorses Final Cut Pro. When I read this book the first time, I had no idea what Final Cut Pro was. So I decided to look it up, and then I found out it was Apple's Pro movie editing software. At the time of the book's writing, it was only available on MacBook, iMac, Mac Mini, but now it's available on the more powerful iPads, but only as a subscription model app. I just stick with LumaFusion. I may never understand the publishing business, or why they decide to stop printing certain books that'd be useful to anyone. But I will say, however, that Joe Murray did us the ultimate favor by making this book free on his website. If you haven't already, go to Joe Murray's website, download your own free copy of the PDF for the book, pay it forward somehow, and tell others about this book, which should be on every animator's bookshelf, along with the Animator Survival Kit, Character Animation Crash Course, and the Illusion of Life. Well, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.